dan peningkatan kualiti khidmat pelanggan. Bertemu kembali, penyatuan platform komunikasi dalam perkhidmatan pelanggan bukan sahaja merupakan aset penting kepada syarikat korporat, malah membantu kelancaran bagi perniagaan tanpa mengira saiz. Antara lain, ia membantu melahirkan persekitaran lebih kondusif dalam menguruskan maklum balas serta permintaan pelanggan, terutamanya bagi perniagaan dalam talian. Lebih menggalakkan kepesatan penyatuan platform komunikasi ini juga membantu membentuk rangkaian dan pusat khidmat pelanggan lebih komprehensif untuk generasi hari ini. Dan bersama kami di studio bagi membincangkan perkara ini dengan lebih terperinci adalah Naib Presiden Executive Interactive Intelligence, Gary Blau. Hi, thank you for joining us today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
First of all, Gary, let's talk about unified communications and how does it differ to the traditional method of communications, which is, if I'm not mistaken, the call center, the voice-only call center.
Sure. Traditional call centers were more just voice-oriented. And unified communications talks about different types of media, different types of communication, email, chat, social media with the Facebook type things, Facebook, Twitter, and so forth. So unified communications needs to take in all of those types of communications in order to communicate through that contact center.
And why do you see moving towards that as a great importance, especially looking at how the technology has expanded vastly?
Yeah, I think if you're a company, what you want to provide is quality customer service. So in order to do that, you can no longer just do that using a voice and a phone. Some customers, particularly younger customers, may want to communicate with you through Facebook or through an SMS. So as a company, you need to respond to that and provide that high quality of customer service no matter how your customer wants to communicate with you. So the importance grows and grows all the time.
And what kind of businesses are you would be best take up the unified communication or services?
Well, I think there's almost all businesses who provide customer service need to take up unified communications. If I'm in the travel industry and I have customers calling for airline reservations, I may have some customers who want to talk to me through Facebook, or others through SMS, or others through email, and that incorporates all of unified communications. So I need to have the ability to be able to respond to that customer in the manner that they want to be responded to. And it may be age-based, it may be industry-based, but you'll have different customers wanting to communicate with you different ways. To provide that high quality of customer service, you need to be able to respond to that.
So customers nowadays, they have more option in terms of getting back or getting the information that they want through ways or through devices or methods that they want, right?
Absolutely, and as I said, it may be age-based. I think if you're under a certain age, you're used to communicating through SMS or through Facebook, where maybe the older generations are used to communicating with voice. To provide that high level of customer service, to retain customers, to provide the response that customer needs, you need to be able to respond in the method that they're communicating to you with.
What's the trend like in Asia nowadays with unified communications?
Well, the trending is pretty interesting. The adoption of unified communications is pretty high. I would say it's on a par with most of the rest of the world. Just simply because you have the same, in Asia, we have the same type of businesses that we would in North America or in Europe, or in Latin America for that matter. So the adoption of unified communications is very high. And I think particularly in Asia, the younger generation has communicated through their PDAs, their handsets, their smartphones for quite some time. So it's real prevalent on the need for that communication, or that acceptance of that unified communication.
Yeah, but existing call centers, they have to maybe invest a bit more to upgrade the infrastructures and also accommodate the new technologies to have this implemented, right?
Well, I think what we see in technology is you see a technology refresh once every 5 to 8 years. So that's what companies are looking to do, is as that technology refresh becomes a necessity, they'll look at incorporating unified communications. And platforms today should be able to accommodate all of those types of communications. In the past, what you've seen are platforms that would handle one platform to handle email, one platform to handle voice, one platform to handle another type of communication. And what interactive intelligence provides is one single all-in-one platform that no matter what the type of communication, it can handle it in the same manner, routed in the same manner, those types of ideas.
Okay, what kind of demands or key demands from Asian contact centers nowadays?
The key demands, I think that we're seeing the need for consolidation. consolidation of different types of system into a single system, consolidation of multiple contact centers across a country or across a region into a single contact center. That would be one, a big driving factor. I see the need for handling unified communications as a big requirement in the Asia-Pacific marketplace.
When you mention consolidation, does that mean individually or the whole company? You know, because individually you might have to take up more tasks in that sense, right? Because you have to control more devices or more methods of communication in that sense.
Well, absolutely, which drives that unified communications piece. So as I drive that consolidation, then I would have the need for more types of media and the ability to handle those types of media. So, you know, companies are looking at systems that can do that in that all-in-one type platform. You know, another interesting point, we're seeing a lot of interest and a lot of demand driven on the cloud-based computing side of things. And that's really moving from the implementation being an on-premises installation, in other words, the equipment being on-site at my company, to moving to it being off-site at a co-located data facility. And then I can still have my agents or my customer service people on-site at my facility or off-site, but all the equipment, all the hardware and so forth, the software is located at a co-located facility somewhere in the cloud, as they say.
That's very interesting. Would it maybe reduce costs for businesses out there?
Well, we're seeing it reduces cost, but what really drives that is a lot of companies, particularly in today's economy, are looking to limit the capital expense involved with upgrading hardware, upgrading software, doing a system refresh. So what the cloud-based computing typically does is you'll see companies like Interactive Intelligence offering that on a per-seat, per-month basis. So I can use an operational budget versus a capital budget. It limits my capital expense, so companies find that appealing. It also takes away that technology refresh that I spoke about every 5 to 8 years, because you count on the company providing the hosted capability to you, or the cloud-based capability to you, to do that refresh for you.
Okay, we'll take a short break, and then when we come back, we'll talk about Malaysia itself, because Malaysia is the third largest provider for contact centers, if I'm not mistaken. And how do you, see the climate or the businesses or the operations in Malaysia for contact centers, and how can it further move forward, maybe with unified communications in that sense? Let's talk about that in a while. Dan kita akan berehat sekali kembali selepas ni. Bertemu kembali, kita bincangkan tentang penyatuan platform komunikasi dalam perkhidmatan pelanggan bersama dengan Naib Presiden Eksekutif Interactive Intelligence, Gary Blau. Gary, let's talk about the scenario in Malaysia. Malaysia is, if I'm not mistaken, the third largest provider for call center or contact center. Looking at that and taking the strength that we have, how hard do you think it would be for us to move into a more unified communications system in that sense?
Yeah, it shouldn't be. And just for clarification, Malaysia is the third largest provider of contact center capabilities in Asia-Pacific, in the Asia-Pacific market. To move to unified communications, no matter how difficult, is going to be a necessity, because companies are going to have to communicate with their customers the way those customers want to be communicated with. So the move to unified communications is going to be a necessity. How hard? It shouldn't be that hard at all. A couple of ways that you need to find a vendor, and we at Interactive Intelligence believe we're on the forefront of this, offering this, but you need to find a vendor that makes it easy to implement a technology. It makes it easy to learn that technology and utilize that technology, and makes that customer experience for your customers, for that company's customers, that much more beneficial, or that much easier to use for the customer as well. So you can do that on a premises basis. Just before we took a break, we were talking about the cloud-based computing. That can even simplify the process further. What we've done in Interactive Intelligence is we've established hosted data centers around the world, and we will provide hosted capabilities so the customer doesn't have to worry about implementation. They don't have to worry about upgrades. They don't have to worry about hardware refreshes. They're worried about what this technology does for them rather than how to implement it and how to maintain that technology.
Would that be more beneficial for the SMEs, seeing how maybe the cost or the budget for ICT or IT is not as much as the bigger companies? Would that be good for them?
It absolutely should be. The SMEs should benefit by this, but we've seen both. We're seeing large companies very interested in this for the very same reasons that SMEs should be interested in it as well, is that you can limit the capital expense that you have to put forward to put the technology in. You can go on at a per month, per seat, per month basis, or some type of almost pay-as-you-go model. And so it limits that. It makes it much easier from an expense standpoint and from just a technology implementation standpoint.
And you mentioned just now that the transition should be quite easy, or even if it's challenging, it has to be done in the future, right? Would this require existing contact centers individuals or people working in the contact centers to acquire new skills, to acquire new knowledge because of the different methods of communication or different devices that they're dealing with?
Absolutely. You know, to a degree that if you have a contact center agent who's been a contact center agent for some number of years and they're used to taking only interactions through the voice, through a traditional telephone, then they would need to up their skills on communicating through email or communicating through the web or social media. But what we see mostly in contact centers is the labor force tends to be younger there anyway. So the younger labor force already knows about Facebook and they already know about email and those types of things. So there's not as much of a learning curve. They come in pretty much with that knowledge.
Maybe you can share with us some of the best practices identified for the field of customer interaction.
Well, I think, you know, the key with best practices is to remember the purpose of the contact center. And the purpose of the contact center is to provide superior service to your customers. So, you know, one thing I think the first and foremost thing you need to think about on best practices is don't get too caught up in the technology. Get caught up in what you're trying to accomplish. We're trying to give better customer service. We're trying to improve our quality of customer service. So does the technology allow me to do that? And I think that first and foremost is what you do. Then I think you need a strategy for incorporating things like social media because it's a must. As I said, with unified communications, of which social media is a piece, you're going to have to do that if you're going to provide good customer service. So incorporate that in there and then look at technology that fits your organization, that's easy to implement, doesn't consume you and build costs, but actually build savings into your organization. So because everyone looks for that return on investment, that cost justification for the technology. And again, look at what you're trying to accomplish. Look at, is this giving me the ability to provide superior or at least enhanced customer service from what I'm doing today?
We have maybe about 30 seconds left, and I just want to ask you one question, you know, because you mentioned social media, because right now people are selling things on social media, people are doing marketing on social media. Would that be the future of customer or contact centers or customer related services in the future? Oh,
in a large part, absolutely, because more and more things are offered in that respect. More and more people are using social media to communicate, to purchase things, so it has to be a certain
But it's only appealing to younger generations. What about the older generations? Would a portion of it be retained to maybe...
Well, that's part of the multimedia, multi-channel. You need to be able to take phone calls and respond to them just like you take social media interactions and respond to them. A good quality contact center product will allow you to do both.
Thank you very much, Gary. Itu tadi Gary Blau, Naib Presiden Eksekutif Interactive Intelligence, membincangkan tentang penyatuan platform komunikasi dalam perkhidmatan pelanggan, dan kita akan berhenti di sini saja. Saya Rizal Zulkafli. Teruskan menonton Astro Awani, berita segenap dimensi. Salam hormat.